don't know.
Okay, right now. I think I might have fixed it.
Oh, Jesus. Fix your microphone.
Hello.
Jeez.
Welcome back.
Okay. So where do you want to start?
Let's see if we could. Here, there's no volume now. That's so weird.
I think I fixed it. I'm just waiting to hear back.
Okay.
Okay.
let us
Hi
know.
guys, we're live. I'm so sorry.
Are we
but-
live down?
We are.
Oh,
Turn volume up.
Glad to see you changed your coffee shirt.
that's your mom.
No, my sister.
Oh, okay. We're live. Josh, we hooked
Can
up
you
live on
hear?
my Instagram.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Here?
Can you hear?
can you hear us out there?
Thank God for we can hear now. Woo! Okay. So we are just gonna kind of go with it. Sorry guys, we had a little
Technical difficulties.
yep. Our producer's trying to produce. So
So
Yeah.
April Fools.
April Fool.
I think someone just played an April Fool's joke on us.
Was that you, Brian Smith? So yeah, let's jump into it. April Fools was this week. Spring break was last week.
Yep.
You had a great event.
I had a client community event. I had the Transgender Center, or excuse me, the Transgender Day of Visibility event. It was a great event. Not sure if you caught us on the first go around, but we were talking about those events. But I think we were just about to get into your April Fool's joke. So hopefully people can hear us out here, because I think this joke. Are you ready to spill the tea?
I think it could go either way.
Let me
People.
sip my tea real quick.
I know. So it could go either way, right? But this is honestly the raw reality and truth of my family, my life. My dad is unfortunately back in jail.
Okay.
And so
Are you fooling me?
no.
Okay. Okay.
And he was originally, he thought he was going to get a plea deal of like 10 years, and which is a very long time. And then his attorney said that he's taken it to trial, which was like not true. So kind of like panicked. We haven't been able to get a hold of his attorney, but he finally got a hold of his attorney. So he called me yesterday and he was like, "Hey daughter, like my plea deal's 20 years. And I kind of like, froze, didn't say nothing. My heart kind of dropped, like, Dad, like for real, 20 years. And he's like, April Fools. I know. And so I feel like if it's not a joke, but if he could like joke about it, then I ran with it. So his plea deal is 6 years. But
Much better.
Yep, much better. So, hopefully lessons learned for him. But that was kind of like the dark joke. So I just kind of went with it.
So you passed it along to everybody else.
Yeah, and everybody believed.
Fell-
And then,
Evil.
yes, I got do not disturb, because some people were like quite mad at me, but like, hey, I don't know.
Yeah.
God forgive me.
Yeah. Something
We're
like
all
that.
sinners.
April. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
that's
So I felt like if he was able to joke about his situation, which is not the best situation, and he always, he has consequences to his actions.
Yeah.
So yeah.
all right.
So what was your April Fool's? Because I felt like you experienced something. You got fooled.
Yeah, I do. I am not an April Fool's. I'm not going to play jokes on people. I think, listen, I feel like the world we're living in it feels like an April Fool's joke right now with the way things are, how hot it is.
Yes.
Ooh, how hot it is and everything. I just feel like somebody's fooling us right now.
Yeah.
So, but and I'm actually not 100% sure if this was an April Fool's or not. I believe it is. But so I have a property in Provincetown in Cape Cod, which is at the very tip of Cape Cod in Provincetown, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So when we go, we fly into Boston and then we take the ferry over to
Pretty
Provincetown, or in the winter when the ferry's not running, we drive. And driving on the Cape, it's you have to go all the way around. It's a lot of one-way road, so it takes some time.
Yeah.
So they posted yesterday that there was a bridge that was being built from Boston to Provincetown. That is, it's like a 45-minute ride. I mean, I still am not sure if it's real or not, if it was an April Fool's joke, but somebody told me it was an April Fool's joke, so
So not
they got
you,
me.
you
I
they
was
got you.
super excited about it. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I think it was a fool's joke.
So it's funny because my sister invited like our little girl group that reads books, and there's like this really book that's liberating for everybody. They sell like sex stuff, sex books, all the spicy reads that we read.
Yeah.
Well, they did a big post yesterday saying that they're re-renovating it. It's no longer going to be that, and 50% off on everything. So come in. And so my sister's like, hey, do you guys want to go? We've been wanting to go. So we're like, yeah, we're down to go today at noon. And then she didn't read like all the way to the bottom because it was super, super long down, and it was April Fool's joke.
Oh no! Did you show up?
So we went. Still, she's like, I'm still down to go. It's not 50% off, and they're not revamping it or whatever. But let's still go. And it was hilarious. We told the lady that was working, we are like, she's like, your April Fool's joke got me.
Yeah.
But she
That's
got
smart
twice.
business.
Yeah,
You get
Yeah.
people in the door.
yeah, and it worked.
Yeah.
So that was kind of April Fool's, but
Oh
a
man.
little dark and little
Yeah.
funny, I guess. Some.
Yeah. Well, should we get into what
Yeah.
we're talking about today? So
Let's
it's
do it.
April. So it's April is Fair Housing Month.
Yeah, new welcome to April. First quarter of 2026 is now wrapped up, and now we are heading into spring.
So like,
Mm.
yes, April is Fair Housing Month. So we're going to just talk about a little bit of the history of fair housing. We'll talk about some of the effects of why fair housing laws are in place, and the history of like things that happened in the past with redlining and segregation and a bunch of things. So we'll get into it. But
Yeah.
just to go through some of the history. So in 1934, the Fair Housing excuse me. Oh, my producer's telling me what camera to look at. Sorry, y'all. It's one of those days. So in 1934, the Federal Housing Administration was created, and it's explicitly, but it was created, but they explicitly refused to insure mortgages to African Americans.
Wow.
In African American neighborhoods, which was disappointing. And that policy is known as redlining. And I know you're going to talk a little bit about that here in
Yeah.
a second. Some other fair housing history facts. So 1944, the GI Bills helped millions of World War II veterans buy homes,
Okay.
but Black veterans were not able to use it. They were systematically denied these benefits by local banks and VA officials, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
So they went out and they served our country, but they came back and they still were treated as second-class citizens, which is
Yeah.
unacceptable.
Yep.
So
Which we're trying to hopefully move forward to like change that, right?
yeah, exactly. So in 1968, the Federal Fair Housing Act was passed, was signed into law, and it was finally prohibiting discrimination
Okay.
concerning sales, rental, and financing for housing.
Okay.
Fun fact about Colorado, 9 years before the Fair Housing Act, the Federal Fair Housing Act, Colorado led the charge. It was the first state in the nation to have fair housing laws to protect or to prevent discrimination.
Yeah.
And that was in 1959. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we're kind of ahead of the game. I feel like Colorado. So
We're
I'm
always
super
ahead.
blessed to be a part of this beautiful state we have.
Yeah, we're lucky to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, couple neighborhoods that are in Denver specifically that were where a lot of Black residents live was 5 Points,
Okay.
which is known as
Rhino.
Harlem of the West.
Is that what it is
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. Did you
Oh.
know 5 Points was known as Harlem of the West?
No.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah. So, also in Park Hill, there was what they call blockbusting.
Okay.
So as families moved into Park Hill in the 1950s and 60s, real estate agents used blockbusting to scare white people, or the white flight. We heard of white flight where white people moved to the suburbs. So real estate agents used the fear to try to sell more houses and scare people out of Park Hill, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah.
that's why the city looks and feels like the way it does because of that history.
Okay.
You want to get into redlining?
Yeah, so a little
us
bit
more
about,
what redlining is.
Redlining was created or started in 1930, where federal governments and banks literally went to neighborhoods that they considered high risk and drew red lines around them. And the people living in these high risk areas were people of color. So Blacks, Latinos, immigrants, low income households. And what was happening in these areas is that they were getting higher interest rates. They weren't able to refinance. And overall, their equity of home value was less than other neighborhoods.
Mhm.
And how this affects areas and why this is so important and matters is because in the United States, real estate is the biggest way to build wealth.
Yep.
And so the redlining was preventing these communities to do so. And so with that, I'm going to just read some stuff. So meanwhile, outside of these areas, mostly white neighborhoods got easy access to loans, lower interest rates, and their investments were growing faster than areas in the redlining.
The other thing about that is governments also invested in those areas. So they built parks, they built pools, they made like public
Schools.
libraries, schools. So it wasn't just the houses and the values of the houses, but it was also the amenities,
Overall
and
neighborhood.
the education, access to education, and yeah, quality of life that neighborhoods that were redlined didn't have access to.
Yeah. No, I think that what was interesting in regards to like some of these zonings and why they were kind of zoned in these areas, toxic zoning. So some of these neighborhoods were by local dumps, heavy transit areas. Also, they were called red minority, while green were white neighborhoods that were protected by residential only zoning, as well as heat islands, intentional displacement. So just kind of like Highway I-70 in Denver, right? We're in that area, what is known as like Swansea. And so those are part of areas that were part of the redlining. And
Yeah.
so what do we have there? Like the dog place, the highways,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So-
Industrial
Yep.
pollution from the highways. Yeah, highways were used. There's a great book that I read, and I recommend reading it. It's called The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. The Color of Law, a forgotten history of how our government segregated America. So these were laws and policies that were put in place to segregate us, to keep people down, and to help give other people a foot up. Which,
Yeah.
it's a great book. It's a heavy read. It's really sad to learn about these things, but it's
Yeah.
very important to make sure that we don't repeat that, and that we make sure that we are changing it for the better.
Changing.
Yeah.
Right. And we've come a long way, but we got a long way to go. And I think, for us sitting here and while we're here is one, to educate our community, which we're trying to do.
Mhm.
And then secondly is why we're so passionate about this and the people that we serve. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, first generation.
Mhm.
And so my job as somebody that's knowledgeable about these types of topics is to teach them about that. Also teaching them about credit, wealth building, and being that person in the community that's trying to say like, hey, let's start changing those numbers and the trajectory of what they're wanting for people of color.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're here. And that's why we support small and local businesses as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think something, we talk a lot about in real estate is generational wealth. And like, there's people that have had access to generational wealth and there's people that have not. And I think it's important for our clients when we're talking to, especially our first-time home buyers, especially first-time home buyers that have never had anybody in their family that has owned a home, like one, educating them that it's possible.
Yeah.
And that this is like, you're starting the generational wealth for the future of your generations to coming down your
Yeah.
bloodline.
And understanding what real wealth is, right? Oftentimes we think wealth is money, but that's not wealth. And so teaching them how the longevity of money and how to keep that going for their families. And so the first step is getting you into your first home. And, I work with a lot of people and we work with anybody, no matter what your purchase price approval is, we'll work as hard as we can to find you a home and get your foot into the real estate industry so you can start that wealth building for your family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's good. If you guys have any questions, or if you want to see like, hey, how do I raise my hand to take action? What could I be doing to make change? Or if you feel like you're living in one of those communities that have, higher risk or what they call as higher risk, things like that, we'll drop our Google form in the comments when we're done with this live. And this is the opportunity for us to be able to connect you with the right people. So you guys could have a voice for yourself, your family, and your communities to start taking some action to just continuing to make things better for everybody,
Yeah.
despite race, despite gender, despite anything.
Yeah, and just because you're in one of these neighborhoods doesn't mean that you know your voice doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like things are getting better, and redlining is not supposed to exist anymore. But there are still we're still feeling the effects of it,
Yeah.
and that's why it's important to know who your elected officials are, and make sure you know who your city council member is, who your state representative is,
Yeah.
because those are the people that are deciding where does the dump go, where do factories get to be built, where do highways and roads get to be built, what does city planning look like,
Yeah.
because we want to make sure that you know no matter where you live that you can start to build your generational wealth, and that you don't have to just settle because of where you're at.
Yeah. I thought you brought up earlier when we were kind of going over today, like in the Park Hill area, 5 Points area, I think there was a date back in there where that was the only area that Black people were
Yeah.
allowed to live.
Yeah, so in 1930s, in the 1930s, 5 Points neighborhood was one of the few places that Black residents could live.
Yeah.
And that's why it became the you know, rich culture that it is, and why
Yeah.
it's considered the Harlem of the West. If you've never been to 5 Points, gone and checked it out and supported the local businesses there,
Yeah.
definitely go do that. You know, we don't love gentrification, but we love supporting the communities
Yeah.
and supporting building
Yeah.
up for the people that live there.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is interesting. The gentrification is now happening. What we know as 5 Points is now like the Rhino area,
Mhm.
and where you get those people who have lived there for generations and generations displaced. They're
Yeah.
not able to afford to
They're
live
getting
there.
priced out, and we don't.
Mhm.
We don't
And
love
that's
that.
not what we want,
No.
right? Like, let's build businesses and communities, but keep the
And
communities
support.
that were there for generations there.
Yeah, and support the local businesses.
Yeah.
I think you have some local businesses that you wanted to highlight today, right?
Yeah. So I am wearing a Red Day shirt. Like my sister said, I spilled coffee on my white one.
What is Red Day?
So Red Day is a day that Keller Williams, that's why I love working for Keller Williams, because it's a day that is nationally for any Keller Williams around the world. It's the second Thursday of every May, every year, where every Keller Williams office is to pick a organization or community project to give back to.
Yeah.
So it's the opportunity for us agents to give back and pour into our community. And I've been on the culture committee now 3 years. And so me and Melody, that sits on the culture with me, we wanted to serve the elderly community this year. That's what we voted on. And we are partnering up with Denver Indian Center, which,
Awesome.
yeah, we're super excited. And what we're going to be creating is a healing garden.
That's
So
amazing.
they've been wanting to do it for years, but just never having the manpower or the funding to be able to do
People
that.
power.
Yeah, and it's a big space. And so I'm really, really excited. I think I went on a healing journey last year. I felt like a lot of people did. Like,
Yeah.
I think 2025 was hard for a lot of people.
Coming out of COVID.
Yeah, it was just a weird,
reevaluating life.
yeah, weird in real estate, but also weird in real life as
Yeah.
well. And so I just found it super powerful to have a space for the community to come and be able to pray, meditate, whatever that they believe in a safe space, but then also to plant some of their natural medicines, fruits, vegetables that is native to Native Americans.
Yeah.
So it's like food that they actually plant. And so we're going to be creating this garden space for them, and also for the elderly to have something to take care of and, you know, have ownership over, and then for people to come and get food and it just grow and grow
Great
over the
community.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
How can people support?
yeah, so that's what I was going to shout out. So I just wanted to shout out some small businesses here, because I did a post the other day on Facebook, and they were the first to kind of raise their hands and said, we're going to help
Love
do
it.
this.
Yep, call 'em out.
Yeah, Carlos Ferguson with C&D Concrete. He is my uncle,
That's awesome.
and
Let's
he's
go,
going to be
Uncle.
pouring a concrete pad for us for free,
What?
for us to add a picnic table for people to go have lunch there, things like that.
Oh, that's
So he's
awesome.
doing that. Ruben Balderrama with Renovate and Landscape Services. He's a landscaper, so he's a small business owner. He does handyman work, he does remodels, renovations, landscaping, and he raised his hand and was like, hey, what can I do to help? So he's going to go out there with me, figuring out a design plan, how we do some watering systems, things like that, all donated of his time and things like that.
What? Look at
Yes.
this. Come on, community.
Jeremiah Trehill, and he is with True Caller. He is a junk removal company, and he said, hey, I'll drop off a roll off for the day. You guys could put anything in there besides like concrete or heavy things like that, but he is giving that to us for free.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, say those 3 companies again, and we'll also put them in the chat so you can
Yes.
go
So
support
if
these
you're looking for
businesses.
somebody to do concrete, many years of experience, C&D Concrete. If you're needing any home renovations, landscaping, Renovate and Landscape Services LLC, and he does have a Facebook page. They both do. And then Jeremiah Trujillo with the True Collar, and they are a junk removal company. So if you're needing any of those services, let's
that
support
True
them.
Caller, like call me up, collar or color? And I just wanna-
Collar.
Collar. Okay,
Yeah.
so call me up. True
Yeah.
Caller. I
Yep.
love it. Awesome.
And
Thank you to those companies. Go support them. We love businesses that support the community, and
yeah.
we want to give back to them.
Yeah.
So,
And so if you're experienced with landscaping, you have any materials, or you want to just simply donate, we will post the link to Denver Indian Center, and you can donate directly to them for this cause.
are they a nonprofit?
It's a nonprofit,
Okay, we don't give tax advice, but
tax
potentially.
Yeah,
tax
potentially.
deductible.
You'll get a letter from them saying you donated,
Yeah,
and that's
then
something
you
to
talk
hand.
your CPA.
Yes. If we will post that link, and if you could comment garden in that payment, that's how we'll know that the money goes for them.
For the garden
Yep.
project. That's awesome.
So I'm
How
super excited.
exciting.
Yes.
Oh, that's so exciting. I'm excited to
Yeah.
go out there and get dirty
Yeah, we're gonna be
Yeah.
sweating,
and
painting, laying
creating.
pavers, building.
creating a
planters.
healing garden.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So
You know,
super
I'm a
excited.
big hippie at heart, so I love plants and I love the earth, and I'm all about healing.
Me
so,
too. I just don't have the time. My plants
Yeah.
die.
Yeah. So okay, so just to fill you in on what else we got going on this month. So we are going to have some special guests on the live show this month. Again, going with the theme of fair housing. So there's 4 affinity groups that are real estate focused that support different minority communities. So next Thursday, April 9th, we're going to have Luis from the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. So that's next Thursday. So tune in for that. April 16th, we're going to have Ashton who is the president of the Denver chapter for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. Interesting fact about, well, I'll let him get into that. But one thing I just want to save the date for. So the National Association of Real Estate Brokers is hosting a home ownership and wealth building summit on Saturday, April 18th from 11 to 3 p.m. We will put this information in the comments, but there's their flyer there. Ashton will talk more about it on the 16th, but just wanted to call that out so people can mark their calendars. It's a great summit that will help you learn about a path to home ownership. And then on Thursday, April 23rd, we have Nicole, who is the Colorado president for the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance. And then we're still working on our guests for April 30th. So stay tuned for that.
Yes.
So that super excited for our lineup this month. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be great. We're going to be talking to those groups and what they're doing to support
Yeah.
fair housing and create homeownership for everybody.
I love it. I'm super excited to have our first guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully we have everything locked in here, because they're gonna come and be like, I don't want to come back.
I know.
You all got to get it together. So yeah, that's what we'll be talking about for the rest of this month. And as always, please fill out our Google form if you have any questions about anything that we're talking about. If you would like to be a guest speaker, or if there's any topics that you would like us to talk about, we would love the feedback from the community, because we want to make sure that what we're doing here is things that you guys want to learn and hear about.
Yeah, and to serve the community. So
Yeah.
if you're a local business, like we called out some today, if you're a local business that wants to support Red Day, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Or if you're just a local business that you would love for us to call out and for us to support, we love supporting local.
Yeah.
I think when we support local, that's what helps keep money in the communities and helps heal from the danger or the history of redlining and the detriment that it caused.
Yeah.
So supporting local small businesses, make sure you like, subscribe, and share our posts and our videos. Hopefully you can hear us.
Yes. And thank you guys for everybody that's continuing to tune in every week with us. We're just hoping to continue to grow. And even if it's, the community that watches us, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, we're
we
having
love
a great
it.
time.
We do.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm
All
super
right.
excited. Okay.
Until next time.
Until next time. See you next week.
See you, friends.